Things are looking good, yeah, we are starting to look forward to welcoming people again after this difficult situation that we have all found ourselves in.
Yeah, so please tell us, what is the current situation of the coronavirus in Cyprus?
Mm-hmm. Well, for the last couple of days, we have had 0 new cases. And in general, Cyprus has been doing extremely well. We are one of the countries with the lowest ratio of coronavirus cases per 100,000 population. In total, we had around 1,000. And we also had one of the lowest numbers of deaths per 100,000 population, around 15. So our health system was never overwhelmed. We were very, very well organized. We managed to create good interaction and coordination between the private hospitals and the public hospitals. So the situation was under control from the very, very beginning. Yeah, you know, from this whole situation, I think that Cyprus has shown not only that it's a country with wonderful beaches, great food, hospitality, and all the things we know, but also a safe country and a country whose health system is very, very dependable. And, you know, we have one of the highest intensive care units ratio per 100,000 population in the EU. It's higher than the EU average and one of the highest in the Mediterranean, which has helped us a lot and will help us a lot during the summer when we also have tourism. Well, for us, I think the secret of our success was that we started very, very early to deal with this situation. Beginning of March, we shut down the airport, obviously flights from abroad, and we only kept repatriation flights. So, you know, we closed down the economy immediately because our thinking was the faster we move, the faster we will be able to get out of it. And it was a very strict lockdown for around 6 weeks. There was a curfew at night. Nobody could move after 9 p.m., between 9 p.m. and 6 in the morning. To get out of the house, you had to send an SMS to the government. And we were only allowed to go out of the house once per day. So you had to choose either to go shopping for food, either to go for a run, exercise, or to take the dog for a walk. You could not do all of these 3 things, just one of them. And obviously we were not allowed to visit parents or people who are older. So it was very strict and very tough, but it was required. And I'm very happy that we reacted so strongly because that gave us the opportunity to start reopening the economy on the 4th May. So on 4th May, we started opening all the shops again. People were allowed to move without restrictions, exercise outdoors, parks, etc. On the 21st May, we opened the restaurants as well, bars, coffee shops, etc. On the 1st June, we opened the hotels. And on Tuesday, 9th of June, the airport opens again. It's like a test phase for around 10 days. And then from the 20th, we start operating with more intensity. Some countries will be allowed to fly here with no restrictions at all. And we will talk in a bit more detail about that. But in general, our target was always, from the very beginning, to reopen the destination by middle of June. And we have succeeded in that. And I think it's really, really important, you know, to show the world that Cyprus is here and that we have dealt with this situation as best as we could, and that we are one of the safest destinations to travel to this summer.
So What are the entry requirements then for European and for Swiss citizens from the 20th June on?
Yeah, well, what's important to know is that we have listened to the advice of the European Union, which says that we should not discriminate between nationalities. So this is not about your nationality, it's about where you are flying from, which country. And the other thing that the EU said is don't discriminate between countries if their epidemiological situation is similar. And we understood that to mean that, you know, don't get into the process of doing bilateral deals with individual countries. Take a wider approach. Categorize countries based on the epidemiological situation that they are in and treat them equally. So we have decided to do exactly that and categorize countries based on the actual epidemiological situation. How have we done that? We have devised a team of professionals, epidemiologists, scientists, health professionals, and obviously the Health Ministry of Cyprus. And we are evaluating a set of data points for each country. And I will give you some examples of these data points, but keep in mind, and this is the important thing, that it's not about one data point. It's about all of the data points together. So some examples are the effective reproduction number of the virus. It's the RT, which must always be below 1. In addition to that, we are also looking at the daily cases per 100,000 population. We are looking at the weekly deaths per 100,000 population. We are looking at the weekly number of performed tests per 100,000 population. And this is very important because Cyprus has tested 12% of its population. Not many countries have tested 12% of the population. So many countries do not look at this factor, but we do, because we have done it. We also look at the prevalence of the virus within the community at the source country. And of course, the risk assessment of each country based on official data from the World Health Organization and ECDC. So the summary or the combination of all these data points, we look at that to evaluate each country. So our team of professionals is evaluating all these data points for every country every week. So the categorization is a dynamic process. Every week it changes. Every week more countries are added to the list. As the situation in countries improves, so do the chances that they are going to be allowed into our categorization. And in practice, what does this mean? It means that one country that is now not categorized, maybe in a couple of weeks, it's in category B, let's say, or in category A. It might also mean that the country which today is in category B, in a couple of weeks, it will be in category A. It also means the opposite. Maybe if a country's situation is worsening, if they were in category A, which is the best category, they will then may be required to go into category B or even removed entirely. So this is always a dynamic situation, and I think it's the only approach that we can take that avoids discrimination, that is transparent towards everybody. And trust me that we have informed all our partners abroad, travelers, tour operators, media, of course, airlines, about how we do this categorization, because we want them to be able to look ahead and plan. This list and this categorization talks about today, but an airline doesn't want to hear today what they can do today. They need to plan ahead. So this categorization, which I will talk about in a bit more detail now with particular examples of countries, it talks about the situation today. An airline, though, needs to know how we end up with the categorization so that they can look ahead to the next 4 or 6 weeks and say that, okay, the country that I am flying from, maybe today is not in category B, but in 2-3 weeks, they will be in category B or A, so I will be able to fly. This is very, very important. Now, as we speak, and based on the first evaluation, the second evaluation will take place beginning of next week. So based on the first evaluation, in category A countries, which will not require advanced testing, negative testing for the virus, we have countries in there like Austria, Germany, Greece, Israel, the Czech Republic, Norway is in there, Denmark, and Finland. Category B countries, which will require an advanced negative PCR coronavirus test prior to arrival, 72 hours prior to arrival, features countries at the moment like Poland, like Switzerland, and a few others. Now, for countries where testing is not widely available at the source country, we do make available testing, payable by the customer, of course, at the airport in Cyprus. So if a country communicates with us and says that, look, you know, it's very difficult for our people or the people who live here to do a test before flying, then we say, okay, it's possible for the test to be done as soon as they arrive and before entering Cyprus. As for Switzerland, I mean, because you asked, as I said, based on the first evaluation, Switzerland was ranked in category B. But I feel very confident that with the next evaluation, basically in the next days, that Switzerland, because it is doing well, it will drop down into category A. And that will obviously mean a facilitation of movement, no requirement for testing, etc. And let's be honest, Europe is doing well. I think many countries now, they are starting to lift their own lockdowns and travel restrictions. So as the situation in Europe improves quickly, we will continue our evaluation, and I'm sure that the majority of countries in Europe will be either in category B or A in the next few weeks. So I do expect that, you know, by July, there will be quite a normalization of traffic to Cyprus from Europe. So yeah, we try to facilitate travel as much as possible in terms of administration. The only thing that people need to keep in mind before traveling is that yeah, it's good to visit our website, always to keep up to date with the latest information. We ask some questions with an electronic questionnaire about where they have been in the last 14 days, if they have been in touch with somebody who had symptoms, or if they themselves had symptoms, just to create an enhanced feeling of safety.
Talking about the holiday stay, what measures did Cyprus take to make holiday stays safe?
Mm-hmm. That's a very good question. First of all, we have made sure that our capacity to treat guests who do test positive for the virus while they are here or they show symptoms is increased. So practically, what does this mean? We have 120 intensive care beds at the destination only for guests tourists. This, as I said before, is one of the highest ratios per 100,000 population in the EU, and certainly much higher than most islands in the Mediterranean. In addition to that, we have a further 100 hospital units, hospital beds, for those people who don't show extreme symptoms. And this number can grow very, very quickly. On top of that, we have 200 respirators waiting in case they need to be used, only for people who travel to Cyprus. And we have made available 500 dedicated quarantine rooms in dedicated hotels for cases where someone who has traveled has been in close contact with somebody who has shown symptoms or has tested positive. And here is the interesting bit. We have decided as a country that from the moment that somebody who has been tested before arrival or upon arrival and they show no symptoms, if during their holiday after a few days they show symptoms and is then tested positive for the virus, we will take care of that person and their family. What does that mean? That person is going to be taken to a hospital, given proper medication, and our government is going to pay for that. And is also going to pay for food, for drink, for everything for as long as it takes. In addition, we will take care of that person's close contacts, possibly the family, because they were staying in the same room. So the close contacts will then be taken to a dedicated quarantine hotel where for sure they will need to self-isolate in the room. But again, we are going to be covering the cost of accommodation there, the cost of food, the cost of drink, and even entertainment for the children, or wider entertainment on the balcony, etc. Now, why have we taken this decision? For 3 reasons. The first, people are starting to think now about their holidays. And the first thing that comes to their mind is, okay, what happens if while I am there, I have symptoms of the virus and I test positive? Who is going to take care of me? Who is going to pay for that? Is my insurance going to cover for this extra cost? The answer is no, the insurance is not going to cover the cost. So we said, look, don't worry, we will cover that. You don't need to worry about what happens if you get ill while you are here. We will take care of you. The second reason why we took that decision is because travelers are also asking themselves, okay, let's say I go on holiday to Cyprus for 10 days and somebody in my hotel tests positive. What happens? Are they going to put the whole hotel in quarantine and I have to pay another 2 weeks to stay there because the hotel is in quarantine? So now there is no such case. We will move people who test positive and their close contacts away from the hotel so that life can continue as usual at the hotel and people's holidays will not be affected. And the third reason we did this is because we wanted the staff who is working at these establishments to feel comfortable that their working environment is always going to be safe. If somebody tests positive and they show symptoms, they will be moved. The room will be disinfected, absolutely. And that maintains a very safe working environment for the staff as well. Now, on top of these things, we have also issued a destination protocol for every touch point, every experience of the customer. Hotels, restaurants, buses, taxis, beaches, pools, theme parks, museums, jeep safaris, diving, you name it. We have a separate protocol for each of these experiences. The basic principle in all cases is physical distancing. definitely physical distancing is the most important thing to dealing with the virus at this moment in time, especially when we are talking about people not belonging to the same group. So if you go to a restaurant, for sure, there will be a safe distance between your group and the next group. When you are at the beach, there is going to be a safe distance between your sunbeds and the sunbeds of the next group. The same in hotels. In areas where physical distancing is not possible, like elevators, taxis, buses, a mask is compulsory, both for staff and for guests. Masks are also compulsory for staff at certain service areas of a hotel or a restaurant, the kitchen, housekeeping, and face-to-face service. At the same time though, and I want to stress this, we do not want to convert the destination or our hotels into a big hospital. If people wanted a holiday in a hospital, they would book a holiday in a hospital, not at a hotel. So we are enhancing our health and safety protocols. We enhance cleaning and disinfection, detailed disinfection of even keys, menus, chairs, tables, salt dispensers, credit card machines, everything. But we want guests to feel that they are on holiday. That's why we are not going to be asking guests to wear a mask when they are walking in the street, when they are going to dinner, when they are sunbathing at the beach. You are not going to be wearing a mask with 40-degree heat. We want people to still be able to enjoy their time here, to relax. It's been a stressful time for everybody. And we want to have a balance between giving them a safe holiday, but also a holiday that they can enjoy.
Very good. How do your expectations look like for this year? Can you talk in a percentage?
Yeah.
How many tourists will come to your country?
Last year was a record year for Cyprus. We reached 4 million arrivals. And the important thing to understand about these 4 million arrivals is that in the last 10 years, Cyprus has been very successful in extending the season. So these arrivals were not only in the summer. They started in March, extending until November. And what does this mean? That this year, we have lost March, April, May, June, and also July, because July as well is going to be a slow month. It's not going to be a July like other years. I think that the destination is going to start picking up again from August onwards. So we have lost 5 months of the season, and that accounts for 70%, 70, of our arrivals and our revenue. That's a huge hit.
Yeah.
And tourism for us, directly and indirectly, is 20% of GDP. Mm-hmm. Tourism employs 1 in 5 people in Cyprus. Mm-hmm. So the hit has been massive. And the plan of the government has been to support employees of the tourism industry, but also businesses in terms of liquidity, so that when the destination opens again, everybody is able to go back to their jobs and the businesses are able to open again. We have done that, and I'm very confident that most of our hotels, most of the businesses here will reopen when the destination opens again. As for expectations, if you do the calculations, we are talking about around 30% of what we had last year. That's our target. It's the best case scenario. And I say best case scenario for 2 reasons. 3. First, we have to see how long it takes for people to feel comfortable to really travel. Yeah, some people are going to feel comfortable immediately, but some others will wait until August, until September, to understand exactly how destinations are going to be working. The second reason, is that, okay, nobody knows if there will be a second round of the virus later in the season. If there is a second round of the virus in October, November, we will obviously lose bookings at that time. And the third reason why the 30% is the maximum we can expect is because traditional markets, big markets like the UK for us and Russia, Sweden, it seems that epidemiologically they are a bit behind the rest of Europe at the moment. So they will not start traveling immediately. Perhaps it will be end of July or even August by the time they are able to travel. So they are big markets for us, and you know, that also has an impact.
And how important is the Swiss market for Cyprus?
The Swiss market, in terms of percentage, is not as big as the other markets I mentioned, but for us, it's a very important market, and it features heavily in our strategy for the next decade. It's one of the markets, together with Austria, with Germany, and the Nordic countries, as well as France, of course, that we have really decided to focus on a lot over the next 10 years. And the reason is because, first of all, it's a market that travels 12 months a year. So it's not a market that only travels for 3-4 months in the summer. Second, it is a market that gives us the opportunity to diversify the age groups that we are targeting. In the last decade, Cyprus was really focused on families. Switzerland is one of the countries in Europe where the average age is higher than, you know, traditional families. And this means that we have an opportunity to attract a new market, 50 plus. This means people who are traveling without children, and they are looking for something different, a bit more gastronomy, wine, culture, and things like this. Also nature, which is very important for us in terms of diversification. We don't want Cyprus to only be a sun and sea destination. And the third thing that is very important to us with regards to the Swiss market, certainly it's a market which knows how to appreciate unique destinations, unique experiences, and diversified products. This means that it opens new opportunities for us, and this means that it is a higher spending market than what you see traditionally in Europe. So for these reasons, the Swiss market is extremely important to us, and we feel that Cyprus has all the necessary products in here available already to make these travelers happy. So we are going to be working extremely hard, not only in 2020, but in 21, 22, and over the next decade for this market. But especially now, I think there is a great opportunity to add flights to and from Switzerland, and to add on our passenger arrivals from Switzerland. I think there is a big opportunity.
So why choose Cyprus right now as a travel destination?
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I don't like to speak about things that every destination is saying. If you ask all the destinations, they are going to say that they have great food, they have great hospitality, great culture, great mountains, etc. Everybody is going to say these things. What makes Cyprus unique, especially now that we have realized what is really important in life after the coronavirus situation. Cyprus is a country which is small, a country which is not densely populated. It's not crowded. You know, we don't have these public transport links with crazy busy trains, undergrounds, metros, trams. And this means there is not a lot of traffic of people when you're at destination. We are a place where everybody is spread out. So there is a lot of physical space between people naturally, even without our government imposing a protocol like this. Naturally, there is a lot of space for people to do what they like in Cyprus. You can breathe, you can be yourself, you can be, you can have your own privacy. Also, it's a destination which does not have a lot of pollution, a lot of industry. We don't have all these big electric plants or gas plants or coal burning plants with all this pollution. So the quality of air in Cyprus is excellent. The quality of our water in the beaches is the best in the Mediterranean. 95% of our seas, of our beaches, is blue flag. So the quality is fantastic. Our produce, it's produced on land that is basically bio. It's GMO free. So the quality, the nutritional quality of that produce is what people need these days to make their immune system stronger. Vitamin D, which comes from the sun. We have the sun all the time, even until December. So vitamin D has been proven to help boost our immune system, not only with regards to coronavirus, but many illnesses. So if I can summarize all these points into one, which makes Cyprus unique, we have the benefit of a slow lifestyle and a lifestyle of wellness, a climate of wellness. And I think we have all realized in the last 3 months, locked up in a house with 4 walls around us, how important these small basic things are today. The quality of the air we breathe, the quality of the food we eat, the quality of our personal space. So this summer and for the next summers, this is exactly what Cyprus is going to be teaching the world, that we are a place where your privacy, your health, your wellness is respected.
Mr. Perdios, I heard that you spent some time in Switzerland.
Yes,
wie
it's true.
Geht es Ihrem Deutsch oder sogar Schweizerdeutsch?
Ja, natürlich. Ich habe dort studiert, geschafft, in Basel, in Lausanne, in Montreux und es war super. Meine zweite Heimat, die Schweiz, und ich wollte also in April nochmal kommen, unsere Tour Operators zu sehen. Und ja, ich hoffe, dass bald ich kann einfach kommen. Ja, schauen.
Super, vielen Dank für das Gespräch. Nice talking to you.
Habe mich gefreut. Ich wünsche Ihnen einen wunderschönen Sommer, hoffentlich in Zypern. Und wir sind da für Sie, für euch. Und danke für alles. Thank you for your time.
Super, danke, Mr. Perdios. Alles Gute. Bye bye.
Tschüss.
Tschüss.